Tracker Solver uses a handful of position keyframes from a 2D layer to solve a 3D position in your active camera. So After Effects' camera tracker is pretty good, but it doesn't let you choose precisely where you want your trackers. And in this case here, it's not offering me anything for the ground. So I'll flip over to this other composition where I've already built the layout from that same camera track. So we've got our camera wrapping around the kitchen and the layout for the kitchen, but we still don't have our ground. So let's solve for that. I'll create a 2D null, call it tracker, and I'll place it right on the ground in an area where I can clearly see. So I'll use this corner right here. And I'll create a keyframe on the first frame where I can see it, and on the last frame where I can see it, and then a couple of keyframes in between. Now Tracker Solver only uses the keyframes, so it's going to ignore everything in between. It's only going to use these 4 frames to solve. So you can select the tracker and click solve. And there it is. It's on the ground, and it sticks to our point. Now what if we wanted to use Mocha data? In this scene here, I've got a camera and tracks for each one of the posts along the side of the road, except for the last one. But I do have a Mocha track for that, so I'll create my tracker again. And I'll apply my Mocha data. So Mocha applies the data, even though it doesn't have any tracking data, it'll still create a keyframe. So we have to make sure that we delete any keyframes that don't correspond with an actual pixel on screen. And Tracker Solver doesn't use the scale or rotation, so we can get rid of those. And now I'll select it and click solve. And there's our post in line with the rest of them. And we can also unsolve. So if you select a 3D layer and you click unsolve, it'll create a 2D layer that represents that 3D position and scale. So it'll give you position and scale keyframes. Now you'll notice that it cuts off here, and that's because the 3D layer that we use to create it actually goes behind the camera. And once it goes behind the camera, there's no more 2D position, and so it just stops there. It'll never write keyframes for trackers that go behind the camera, so it'll leave gaps and it'll trim the head and the tail of the layer if there are no keyframes. And that's it. As usual, you can click on the question mark to get general information about the script.